How hard is it to recover from a bad first impression?
Wow. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that
Hmm.
right off the top. I think, I mean, it's a very valid question because obviously we've had situations where we ourselves have made a bad impression. Um, I accidentally walked into a conference room one time and it was the wrong conference room. And so, you wonder how people felt about that. I think it depends on the severity of the faux pas, right? I mean, obviously, if you come in screaming and yelling or you're obnoxious, it's going to take longer. The human brain is kind of interesting. It tends to retain anything negative far longer than positive things. And that's why we remember the bullies and the bad event or the time my car got towed 40 years ago. And so I think a first bad impression depends on that. But, some of it is as simple as, boy, that was a lousy handshake, or, that guy had bad breath. Things like that stay with you for a while. And what's interesting is, as we look more and more at the research, it actually affects not just perceptions, but it affects trustworthiness, how we perceive you on this. Are you a person that we totally trust, or are there deficits there? And I think the more of those negative things, the less trustworthy you become, in a way that maybe like a boss might say, well, let's not send Jimmy. He's kind of funny in some things that he does. And so it begins to affect trustworthiness. What I tell people is, don't leave anything to chance. Always assume that you have one opportunity to impress, and that from the study of Dr. Ambati at Harvard, we know that we make those impressions in as little as 3 milliseconds. So about as fast as an eye blink, you're already making impressions that, can last a very long time.
Yeah, and it's tough because like some people might just be a little more socially awkward than others, and so a lot of the times, like those first impressions, like those negative first impressions, can come out of just like a place of nervousness, right? Of like social anxiety rather than who the person is actually. Because it's the case with most people is that like once you warm up and get to know them better, then like and you see the real selves, then that's when maybe like a better first like impression creates, right?
Sure, but one thing is being nervous, and I tell people, front it. Just be
Hmm.
upfront and say, I'm nervous. I did a TEDx talk in Manchester, and people were surprised that, I've done thousands of presentations, and I said, I'm kind of nervous. And I think when we front those things, and we give a reason, people feel better about it. People are very forgiving. I remember a prosecutor one time. He had just gotten contact lenses, and the jury kept looking at him like, what's wrong with him? Or is he lying? Is he being deceptive because of misunderstanding of what people have about blink rate? And I finally said, Terry, just tell him you got new contact lenses. And you could almost see them relax once they received that information. But I think it's different when you do that, and it's a natural faux pas. You're not sure if to shake hands or give a hug like they do in Latin America. People get over that very quick. It's when we do things that really go against social norms or expected practices, or they're just ill mannered. I think those things tend to last longer.
So, what are some things that we can do to create a powerful first impression?
Well, number one, realize that it starts at a distance. that it's once you're within visual range, that you can make somebody's day by having that big smile, arching the eyebrows when you greet, rather than walking slowly, dragging yourself, walking towards them with energy, making good eye contact. Make sure that, when I enter a room, that I always make eye contact with everyone there, not just a host, and just be yourself. I don't think it has to be very complicated. I was in an event where the airline lost my luggage, and so all I had was what I had traveled in, and I just got up there and I said, "Folks, I'm sure it's happened to you. It happened to me. My good suit is somewhere else." And nobody said anything about the fact that I was dressed in jeans and whatever. And that's the benefit of fronting things and saying, and I have had people introduce themselves to me as early as a week ago. And somebody came up and said, "Forgive me, but I'm a little bit on the spectrum and I don't make a lot of eye contact." And I said, "That's fine with me. Just be comfortable." So I think anytime we have an opportunity to impress others by just showing our eagerness to meet and greet and enjoy their presence, that's pretty good.
And I feel like people, not only by like admitting that stuff, like not only are you more trustworthy, I feel like you're more likable, because we tend to like people that aren't all so full of themselves, right? And they're humble enough to like understand their flaws.
Oh, sure. I mean, it really humanizes us. And in some way, as I mentioned that event in England, in Manchester, and after the event, there was a young lady there, and she says, I'm glad you made it seem normal to be nervous, because I take these classes and they say, how to hide being nervous and how to, fake this and fake that. And I said, it empowered her to just feel normal, because she was panicking over the panic, and to just get up there and say, "Folks, I'm nervous as hell, and I've been practicing." And people are so forgiving, inevitably. There's years ago, I mean, I'm talking like decades ago, maybe 40 years ago, one of the more famous singers, I forget her name right now, but she was at an event, and an outdoor event. She got up to sing, and Carly Simon, I think it was. She got up to sing, and she suffers from panic attacks. And she told the audience she could barely stand up there. And the audience was so forgiving, so kind, so genteel with her, that she did the whole event. So I always say, just front it. Yeah.